What's up, everyone? It's your boy Pickle here. Today we are going to talk about Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 4 Shock and Awesome. We're about 3 weeks removed from the start of this season, and so far I haven't really had any complaints with this season. I'll admit I wasn't the biggest fan of Chapter 6 Season 3 Super, but this season has been refreshing. Tons of map changes, new weapons, new rift pods, and of course the bug infestation that is currently taking over the Chapter 6 map. So don't get me wrong, Chapter 6 Season 3 Super was not a bad season, like at all. In fact, I would say it was definitely a pretty good season. It just wasn't a season that I particularly got excited about. That being said, I was absolutely happy to see that the community finally embraced a Season 3, thus finally breaking the Season 3 curse that has plagued us ever since Chapter 3 Season 3 Vibin'. But for me, it just really wasn't anything special. Just another average Fortnite season. I didn't really care about the superhero mythics, and the new POIs, while visually appealing, weren't really anything special for me. That being said, Season 4 has been a breath of fresh air. So far, I haven't really been hearing the same type of rumblings from the community as I did last season, so I really don't know how the community at large feels about this season, but I personally have been having more fun than I did during the Super season. I could be the minority in that opinion, I'm not really sure, but I, for one, have been enjoying it. Speaking of this new season, we have 4 new POIs on the map to explore. Ranger's Ruin, Swarmy Stash, the O.X.R HQ, and the absolutely massive Hive, which is really more of a full biome rather than just a singular POI. I've really enjoyed fighting the bugs, killing the boss bug, otherwise known as the Queen, and generally exploring all the changes to the Chapter 6 map. On top of these new POIs, they have also added these small little O.X.R outposts all over the map, and there are also new O.X.R chests, which will give you loot and boons, as well as the new rift pods that drop every time you level up your O.X.R rank. Unlike the hero chest from last season, which you would allow or be granted the ability to open once you had reached a certain level, they were always stationary on the map. They would spawn in at the beginning of each game, and where they landed is where they were. The rift pods, however, will actually drop right in front of you when your rank goes up. And unlike supply drops, which used to take quite a bit of time to land, these O.X.R rift pods drop fast. And I mean really fast. In just a few seconds, you'll go from leveling up your O.X.R rank to having a rift pod drop literally right in front of you. This comes in handy when you're dealing with the new bug infestation that is sweeping the map. There are 3 types of bugs that you have to contend with. The swarmers, which do exactly as the name suggests. They will swarm all around you and try to attack you, but don't worry, these little bugs are not that much of a threat. Generally, you only need 1, maybe 2 shots to kill them. And yes, while they will do some damage to you, they're not that difficult to fight against, or even just outmaneuver. You can literally just run through a swarm of them and get away from them, no problem. Next, you have the bombers. These are a little bit more of a challenge, as they're not only bigger with significantly more HP than the swarmers, but they also can burrow into the ground to hide from your shots, as well as having the ability to do damage from afar as they throw, well, I don't exactly know what it is they throw at you. A bug bomb, I guess? I don't really know what to call it, but they can do damage from afar by throwing something that can hit you. But that being said, they're still fairly easy to kill as long as they're above ground. And finally, we have the Queen bug. While I generally avoid fighting the Queen, not really out of fear, but mostly because I've just never really had much desire to fight the bosses in Fortnite. It's just not my thing. I personally am more of a camper than someone that tries to go and hunt down the medallions and the mythics every game. But if you are someone that prefers to get the best loot possible, the Queen is definitely what you want to go for. Killing the Queen is about like killing all the other bosses we've had this chapter. Just take your time, clear out the POI of any potential third parties, then find you some cover and high ground and go do your thing. As of recording this voiceover, which I recorded a few days after I took this gameplay footage, supposedly Fortnite has vaulted the medallions. In fact, I saw several videos just today saying that they had vaulted the medallions. But right before I started recording this, I actually dropped in and did play a few games of Zero Build Ranked, and yeah, there were still medallions in that game. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I don't know if maybe they only vaulted them in regular BR and not ranked, which doesn't make much sense at all. But maybe this is a topic we'll revisit in a future video. Not really sure. One thing that has definitely not been vaulted are the boons. Boons have been a key mechanic basically this entire chapter. You know, something that replaced the augments of old from chapter 4. And these boons are literally everywhere. Not only can you find them in the above mentioned O.X.R chests, you can also find them in regular chests, and even sometimes just find them laying right there on the ground. They are pretty much everywhere, and every time I turn around I seem to find a new boon. There have also been some pretty big changes to the loot pool, from the O.X.R rifle to the sweeper shotgun for your more traditional players, to the bug blaster for those of you that like the more cheesy items in Fortnite. There have also been a couple new weapons that some have called overpowered. Now, I can't speak on these personally, as I have yet to pick either one of these up. These being the Lead Spitter minigun and the Swarm Strike rocket launcher. In fact, not only have I not picked up either one of those items, I don't even recall seeing anyone carrying the Lead Spitter minigun since the season started. I have, however, come up against the Swarm Strike rocket launcher a few times, and yeah, I've died to it once or twice, but it doesn't appear to be one of those items that's just all over the map like we usually have to deal with when there's other OP weapons in Fortnite. Now, the one weapon that everyone seemed to be talking about at the start of this season is the Wrecker Revolver. Not the least of which is because up until just recently, carrying 2 of these would allow you the ability to double pump, which of course is always going to pique the community's interest. But wouldn't you know it, before I could even get this script finished, they had already nerfed the ability to double pump right out of this season. Maybe it'll come back in the future, but I'm guessing probably not. Now for me, when I've used this weapon, it hasn't been bad, but it's not been particularly anything special in the hands of a relatively, or I guess if I'm being honest, kind of terrible player like myself. That being said, a lot of the sweats seem to be loving this weapon, and even without the aid of double pump, it seems to be an item that a lot of people have been carrying. Now, while it is called a revolver, really, this is being used like and in place of a shotgun in a lot of cases, which actually brings me to another thing. While we did get a new AR and shotgun in the loot pool, the Fury AR and both the Sentinel Pump and the Twinfire Auto Shotty are still in the game, as well as the SMGs and the Deadeye DMR. Now for me, if I'm being honest, I have still been mostly running the Fury and one of the 2 shotguns that we've had this chapter. Haven't really been a big fan of the O.X.R rifle, haven't really been a big fan of the sweeper shotgun, and that's not to say that the O.X.R rifle is not a good weapon. It's solid for sure, but again, in the hands of a less skilled player such as myself, you kind of need all the help you can get, and you just can't beat the fire rate on the Fury. Overall, I would say that so far this has been a pretty fun season. I look forward to seeing what Epic does with the rest of this season, as well as with the rest of this chapter. I'm very much looking forward to Fortnitemares here in just a little over a month's time, and while the bug season doesn't specifically give off those sort of, Halloween Fortnitemares type vibes, I could totally see them adding Halloween decorations and spider webs and things like that to the new POIs to give it that more creepy Halloween feel. And, also, word on the street is there's going to be a full-scale live event in this chapter. Now, the question is this going to happen at the end of Season 4? Or is it going to happen at the end of the supposed Simpsons mini-season that we're supposed to be getting? Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love The Simpsons. I do. I've been watching it since I was a little kid. But I have no desire whatsoever to have a Simpsons-themed season in Fortnite. Now, a Simpsons themed game mode, separate mode, that could be cool. Maybe have like the full town of Springfield as its own map and in a game mode that you can explore in like an open world type environment. That would be cool. But dropping into a Simpsons POI on the Chapter 6 map, I just don't see how it can work. And we all saw what happened when they dropped a Star Wars themed mini-season just a few months ago. Epic almost killed their game with that move, which is honestly a little crazy. I would have expected the community to really get behind and really fall in love with a Star Wars themed season. But for whatever reason, no one seemed to care. In fact, a lot of people hated it and called it the worst season ever. I don't really think they're going to have any more luck with a Simpsons season. You know, if they couldn't do it with a Star Wars season, I don't see what a Simpsons season is going to be able to do. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Well, I guess that's going to be it for today's video. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave your comments down below and let me know what you're thinking of Season 4 of Shockin' Awesome. I guess until then, we will see you in the next video. Peace.